Well, once again, Brother Dan's here from my home in Florida. I love Florida. I love Brazil too. By the way, I'll be coming soon. Be aware of the different promotions and all that. I'll be in some of the conferences around the country, and would really enjoy meeting you. If you get in one of the meetings, one of the conferences, and if it's possible, please come introduce yourself. Say, hey, Dan, I saw you from your home in Florida. It would be a joy to meet you. You know, even though this is a video recording, to me it's very, very personal, very, very personal. I know that you're there. I know you're watching. I know you're hungry. I know. I can say, I know you better. I know you better than you know yourself. You see, I mean, Dan, how's that possible? I'll tell you how it's possible. Because Jesus has drawn you to himself. You're a lover of Jesus. You've drawn him to himself. And so what I know about you, I don't know, your name, I don't know your address, but I know this. I know you will do anything that Jesus asks you to do. Once you're certain that he's the one who's asking. I know that about you. You would do anything that you're sure Jesus is asking you to do. And you would give anything that you're confident that Jesus is asking you to give. I know that about you. You would go anywhere. You would do anything, go anywhere, give anything that you're sure that Jesus is asking. And believe it or not, for Jesus, that's enough. That's enough. I remember so many years ago, one of my early mission trips was into Mozambique, Africa. And this goes back 25 or 30 years ago. 30 years ago, nobody was going into Mozambique, Africa. Now, 30 years ago, you couldn't go into Mozambique, Africa. It was in the midst of a terrible, terrible civil war. The whole nation was a battlefield. And the suffering, unlike anything you can imagine. Every person had lost a loved one in that battle. It was awful. And by the grace of God, I went. It's too long a story to tell you how I got there. But I would say that another time I'll tell you some of my stories, because I've been a lot of places you couldn't go. As a matter of fact, once I heard that a nation was closed and you couldn't go there, I made up my mind that I was going. But I was in Mozambique and was very unhappy. It was too much for me. The suffering, the poverty, the despair, the hopelessness was just too much for me. So I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing here? There's nothing I can do. What am I doing here? And I was crying, literally crying. Jesus, I just want to go home. Can't I just go home? There's nothing for me here. And Jesus said to me, spoke to me, and he said, Dan, are you doing your best? And I said, well, yes, I'm doing my best, but my best is, he said, Dan, your best is good enough. You do your best. For me, that's good enough. And I really feel to share that. I hadn't anticipated this, but I really feel to go the way right now for those of you that are watching, to say that your best is good enough is not to excuse weaknesses or sins or failures. That's not the point. The point is Jesus knows when you're doing the best you can do. And when you're doing the best you can do, he says, for you, that's good enough for right now. Because your best can improve. What you can do can improve. Okay. So and Jesus said to me, Dan, your best is good enough. And he said, well, Dan, will you just stay here in the country until I send someone that can do it better than you? I said, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I'll stay here until somebody shows up that can do it better. Well, I was there for a long time. And eventually others did come. And there are many in more recent years, there are many Brazilians going and Americans in and out of Mozambique all the time. But my point is, then there was nobody there. I had to bribe myself across the border. I had to pay border guards. I had to do things I didn't really want to do in order to get inside the country. So, but now that's all changed. But my encouragement for you today: do your best. If you're doing your best, you know it. If you're not doing your best, you know that also. So may I just encourage you today, first of all, Jesus is not looking for perfection. If perfection was the criteria, we're all excluded. Nobody can measure up. But anybody can do their best. Give your best. Live your best. Love your best. Do the best you can do. And I believe for where you are right now, if you do your best where you are, that qualifies you for promotion. It qualifies you to grow. Because what I was doing in the story that I'm telling you, what I was doing, somehow I was making, in my own mind, I was making some kind of excuse. I was excusing my own weakness. And Jesus came right back and said, well, if you just do your best, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be as good as somebody else could do it. But right now, somebody else is not here. You're here. Do your best. So I hope that encourages you today. That's the only objective I have here. I want to put something in your life that will help in some way on your journey. So anyway, I love you. Thank you for giving me these few moments. God bless you, my friend.